What's in a name? Everything. The power of a name has long been immortalized in prose, poetry, and history. It is your face to the world, your ambassador of quality that reflects your ideals and aspirations. Thompson's, a name, a family, a tradition of excellence. So it is with Thompson's Toyota, where our professional and courteous staff are eager to help you drive home your dream vehicle from the largest selection of new and used Toyota cars and trucks at the best prices. And if your vehicle needs service, our Toyota factory-trained and certified service technicians have the skill and expertise to do the job right and do it right the first time. Thompson's Toyota, where you'll always be treated like family.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Curiosity is getting ready to make a grand entrance. The largest rover ever sent to another planet will touch down in the middle of the night after a spectacular entry into the Martian atmosphere and descent to the surface.
And liftoff of the Atlas V with Curiosity.
Curiosity made a picture-perfect launch in November 2011. And now, after more than 8 months and 350 million miles, it's time to get down to business. But first, Curiosity must get down to that surface safely. When she arrives at Mars, Curiosity has 7 minutes to go from 13,000 miles an hour to a soft landing. These so-called 7 minutes of terror encompass a sequence of steps that we cannot control or even witness in real time, because signals take 14 minutes to reach Earth from Mars. Curiosity's heat shield, burning at nearly 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, will protect the rover as it slows down rapidly. On the way down, the spacecraft fires thrusters to stay on target for Gale Crater. Then, at 1,000 miles per hour, the chute opens, slowing the spacecraft below the speed of sound. Next, the heat shield is jettisoned, and Curiosity begins looking for the surface with landing radar that lets onboard computers know how far it is above the ground. About 5 minutes into entry, the spacecraft is moving 200 miles per hour and is about a mile up. The descent stage, with Curiosity fastened underneath, tucked, drops from the parachute, fires up its landing engines, and slows the system to a near stop. Curiosity first gets to stretch her legs at approximately 2 miles per hour, about 60 feet above the ground. With wheels deployed, Curiosity is lowered on a sky crane to the surface. After touchdown, the sky crane's work is done, and it cuts loose to fly a safe distance away from our newest rover on Mars. In a few days, as Curiosity stands up her mast, She will give us our first close-up of Gale Crater, an impact crater 96 miles wide with a 3-mile-high mountain at its center. The crater's rock layers were laid down and then eroded, showing us a cross-section of Mars's history. Liquid water was necessary to form the geology we've seen from orbit, and that makes Gale Crater a great place to look for evidence of places that could have once harbored life. During her 2 Earth-year primary mission, Curiosity will tell us about Mars's geology, weather, and current radiation levels, which are key to sending humans there someday. The rover's laser will examine rocks and help find places to take samples for the onboard chemistry lab that can identify minerals and organic materials, the building blocks of life. This nuclear-powered 1-ton rover will take us ever closer to examining deep layers of history, and perhaps closer to an answer to the ancient question, was there ever life on Mars?
When people look at it, it looks crazy. That's a very natural thing. Sometimes when we look at it, it looks crazy. It is the result of reasoned engineering thought, but it still looks crazy. From the top of the atmosphere down to the surface, it takes us 7 minutes. It takes 14 minutes or so for the signal from the spacecraft to make it to Earth. That's how far Mars is away from us. So when we first get word that we've touched the top of the atmosphere, the vehicle has been alive or dead on the surface for at least 7 minutes.
Entry, descent, and landing, also known as EDL, is referred to as the 7 minutes of terror, because we've got literally 7 minutes to get from the top of the atmosphere to the surface of Mars, going from 13,000 miles an hour to 0 in perfect sequence, perfect choreography, perfect timing, and the computer has to do it all by itself with no help from the ground. If any one thing doesn't work just right, it's game over.
We slam into the atmosphere and develop so much aerodynamic drag. Our heat shield, it heats up and it glows like the surface of the sun. 1,600 degrees.
During entry, the vehicle is not only slowing down violently through the atmosphere, but also we are guiding it like an airplane to be able to land in a very narrow, constrained space. This is one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, and one that we had never attempted on Mars.
Mars is actually really hard to slow down because it has just enough atmosphere that you have to deal with it. Otherwise, it will destroy your spacecraft. On the other hand, it doesn't have enough atmosphere to finish the job. We're still going about 1,000 miles an hour. So at that point, we use a parachute.
The parachute is the largest and strongest supersonic parachute that we've ever built to date. It has to be able to withstand 65,000 pounds of force, even though the parachute itself only weighs about 100 pounds.
When it opens up that fast, it's a neck-snapping 9 Gs.
At that point, we have to get that heat shield off. It's like a big lens cap blocking our view of the ground to the radar. The radar has to take just the right altitude and velocity measurements at just the right time, or the rest of the landing sequence won't work.
This big, huge parachute that we've got, it'll only slow us down to about 200 miles an hour. And that's not slow enough to land. So we have no choice, but we've got to cut it off and then come down in rockets. Once we turn those rocket motors on, if we don't do something, we're just going to smack right back into the parachute. So the first thing we do is make this really radical divert maneuver. We fly off to the side,
diverting away from the parachute, killing our horizontal velocity and our vertical velocity, getting the rover moving straight up and down so it can look at the surface with its radar and see where we're going to land. And we head straight down to the bottom of a crater, right beside a 6-kilometer high mountain.
We can't get those rocket engines too close to the ground, because if we were to descend propulsively with our engines all the way to the ground, we would essentially create this massive dust cloud. That dust cloud could then go and land on the rover. It could damage mechanisms and it could damage instruments. So the way we solve that problem is by using the sky crane maneuver.
20 meters above the surface, we have to lower the rover below us on a tether that's 21 feet long, and then gently deposit it on its wheels on the surface.
As the rover touches down and is now on the ground, the descent stage is in a collision course with the rover. We must cut the bridle immediately and fly the descent stage to a safe distance from the rover.
Things are looking good. Coming up on entry. Vehicle reports entry interface. We are beginning to feel the atmosphere as we go in here. It is reporting that we are seeing G's on the order of 11 to 12 Earth G's. Tank reversal 2 is starting. We are now getting telemetry from Odyssey. Have parachute deploy around Mach 1.7. The parachute is deployed. We are decelerating. Heat shield has separated. We're found the ground. We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers and descending. Standing by for backshell separation. We are in powered flight. We're at an altitude of 1 kilometer and descending. Standing by for sky crane. Sky crane is started.
Signal to us, you remain strong.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Got thumbnails.
Thrusters have been re-enabled. We will control our attitude on shoot. We are decelerating.
Wrist mode under
our
parachute,
decelerated and descending. We are at 150 meters per second.
Dynamics phase. Come back again with wrist mode dynamics.
Wrist mode is nominal.
We are 9 kilometers and descending.
Leads active.
Valid range.
Net filter converged with a velocity correction of 0.7 meters a second.
We've acquired the ground with the radar.
An altitude of 8 kilometers.
Heat shield has separated. We've found the ground.
Expand tones due to earth occultation as expected.
We're standing by to prime the Emily engines in preparation for powered flight. We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers and descending.
Flight EDL, we've got some Tweedo warnings. It is in battle short mode, so it should power through them.
Director Earth Communications at this time. We may have lost it already. We're down to 86 meters per second at an altitude of 4 kilometers and descending. We've lost tones from Earth at this time. This is expected. We're continuing on Odyssey telemetry.
Ground solution equals minus 10.8 meters, vertical velocity of minus 82.8 meters per second.
Start enabled, standing by for batch shell separation.
Signal to Odyssey is still strong.
We are in powered flight. We're at an altitude of 1 kilometer and descending, about 70 meters per second.
Signal to Odyssey remains
down to 50 meters per second, 500 meters in altitude. Standing by for sky crane.
Constant velocity accordion nominal. Altitude error 5.9 meters.
We found a nice flat place. We're coming in ready for sky crane. Down to 10 meters per second, 40 meters altitude. Sky crane has started. Descending at about 0.75 meters per second as expected. Expecting bridle cut shortly.
Signal to Odyssey remains strong.
Tango Delta nominal.
Yeah. UDL comm configured.
RIMU stable.
UHF telemetry.
RIMU stable.
UHF is good.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Hello, I am Justin Mackey, and I am the Engineering Camera Team Lead on the Mars Science Laboratory mission and a member of the MSL Science Camera Team, and this is your Curiosity Rover Report. The rover has been investigating the Yellowknife Bay area as part of an effort to pick the exact location of our first drill activity on Mars. The images being returned by Curiosity show a diverse collection of interesting features, including sedimentary rocks, pebbles, cracks, nodules, and veins. The vein features are seen as a bright white material, and we see them just about everywhere we look in Yellowknife Bay. The ChemCam instrument has found that these veins contain elevated levels of calcium sulfate, likely in the form of basanite or gypsum. Gypsum veins are also seen here on Earth and are associated with water percolating through cracks in fractured rocks. The exciting news from all of this analysis is a candidate site where Curiosity will conduct its first drilling activity. This site is located only a few meters away from the rover's current location and lies in a flat area suitable for drilling. The team hopes to drill directly into one of the veins and place the powder into the SAM and Chemin analytical instruments. These instruments will give us detailed information about the composition of the material. We'll be driving over there in the next few days. On our way over to the drill site, we're planning on using the rover's wheels to crush some of the nearby veins and examine the freshly broken material. This image from Sol 135 shows an example of how the rover can break open soft rocks with its wheels, revealing the freshly exposed material. I'm Justin Mackey, and this has been your Curiosity Rover Report.